Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a recent battle I played. This was match 5 of the CoronaCon tournament. Sorry I only did the last two match battle reports, so you can see how I finished up, but quite honestly the first three went about as same as the last two. So anyway, CoronaCon was played on Universal Battler since we are not allowed to meet in person right now. And it was fun. There were a lot of people from all around the world, and some really good players. Pretty much a lot of the best players in the world were in it, so I knew I would get my butt kicked, and I did. So anyway, here we are. My last game was against Kenyon Duncan, who is from the West Coast. I'm from the East Coast of the U.S. He played Beast Herds, and so let's take a look at our lists. I played Sevnos. I used the same list the whole tournament. You actually were allowed to change your list slightly between matches in this tournament, but I did not. I wanted to play 5 games with this list and just then get a baseline, get an image of how this did across different opponents, different, different races, different deployments, things like that. Anyway, this is my list. I'll go over it if you haven't seen my other video. So I just have one character, Force Prince General. He's a shapeshifter. Got Destiny's Call, Seven Blades, Titanic Might, so he's got 16-7 attacks all the time at AP3. Glyph of Amro means he cannot be stomped, and he's got defense +3 in a duel, so he's got defense 10 in a duel. And Dragonfire Gem, just in case there's any Pyro. I did not go against any Pyro in this tournament, so that's a waste, but I keep putting it on my guys just in case. I then have this whole unit, it's called 10s. I called it 10s for obvious reasons. Every unit is a unit of 10, so there's 5 units of 10 archers with musicians, 4 units of 10 dryads, which is the max amount of dryad units you can bring. You can bring 4 units of dryads. I wish if you had smaller units you were allowed to bring more, but that's not the way the game works. I think in most places where they have a restriction on the number of units, that should be restricted instead to the number of models. So that way you can decide to bring, because you can bring 4 units of 25. You can bring 100 dryads in a list, but I can only bring 4 units of 10. I would rather bring 10 units of 10 than 4 units of 25, but they make me make the decision between 4 units of 25 or 4 units of 10, and I don't agree with that. So here we are. I brought 3 units of 10 blade dancers with champions and 5 units, or 4 units, excuse me, of 10 forest rangers. Yeah, so I'll talk more about the list at the end of the battle, but I had seen some things on the forums about any list can be competitive in ninth age, so I set out to either prove it right or prove it wrong. And I would say that I have proved it wrong, but I'll keep playing unique lists that don't fit the meta. Yeah, this list doesn't work. I played against this list, Beast Herds. I've played against Beast Herds before, but the guy I play against doesn't really ambush, or at least he doesn't ambush as much as this guy ambushed, so that was unique. He had a Soothsayer and a Chariot with Druidism, which worked really well for this list. He basically, I felt like he built, I felt like the list worked well together. It was, I thought, a very solid list. The Beast Lord with some magic items, I'm not gonna go into, you can look them up. The big thing to notice is that his Beast Lord and his Beast Chieftain both go into the Longhorn herds, who have great weapons. And the Longhorn herds are Resilience 4, and they're, with great weapons, they're also Strength 6, because there's Strength 4, Resilience 4, I think, all the time. But they have a rule called Bodyguard, which means that when they have a character joined to them, they're stubborn. Which gave me just a huge pain with my list, because between Druidism, he was making his units resilience. I mean, even at resilience 4 and stubborn, it's just hard for me to grind through them. And he sometimes would make them resilience 6, which was, or resilience 7, which was just a nightmare. Yeah. So this was not fun to play against with my current list, although I think you can tell by the way I deployed, I played it wrong, but here we are. Then he's got, so those don't ambush. Those were on the board. He's got 2 units of 25 Wild on herds with paired weapons and throwing weapons, and they ambushed. And the Banner of the Wild Herd, I believe, makes it so that they ambush faster. He was ambushing on turn 1, which was a huge pain. And then he's got 2 units of 10 Longhorn herds with ambush. And then he's got 4 raiding chariots for zoning purposes and chaffing and things like that. So I thought it was a solid list, and it would be difficult now seeing how he played it. It would actually be really difficult for me to make a Sylvan Elf list that could do well against this, because I can make something to avoid the ambushing. Like I would just take a lot like speed and I'll just run away from the board edges. But if I do that, I don't have scoring, and anyway, we played this objective, secondary objective, secure target. There are 2 tokens on the board, and deployment was counter thrust. So we alternated deployment for the first 3 drops. And then I actually got to deploy first. He picked the table side, and I deployed first. But then at the end of my 3 drops, just kept putting down 1 unit, so he dropped the rest of his. Er, I don't remember, actually. We'll go over it. Deployment in Vanguard. So my first deployment was these Blade Dancers over here. I figured I would lead with my Blade Dancers, because I figured he would actually want to avoid them. So by leading with them, I figured I could force him to deploy away from them. I led with them, and the Blade Dancer is over here. This way I'm pressuring these. I know he's going to go for these. So if I have Blade Dancers, that means that it forces him to, not deploy way over here or something. I don't know if I was accurate in my thinking or not. I have a ton of units, so then I decided I would deploy. Oh, I know what it was. He did drop all his guys, and then he elected to go second. He wanted to go second so that he could ambush on the first turn, because if he goes first, he can't ambush till turn 2. But if he goes second, he ambushes on turn 1. So I actually got to see where his guys were, and I still deployed this way. So after my 2 Blade Dancer units, I think I deployed Rangers here or Archers here, and that was my 3rd drop. And then everything else I deployed after. Well, I figured I knew he was going to ambush on turn 1. So I deployed my Dryads facing this way, these Dryads facing this way, these Dryads facing this way, Blade Dancers facing this way, and Dryads facing this way. That way, I figured if he ambushes, I can just charge him, and I thought that a single unit of Dryads could handle his ambushing units, because in my mind, ambushing units shouldn't be strong. And that was not the case. And I do have a blind spot right here between the 2 Dryad units. He can come in. And I knew I had that blind spot, and I didn't know a way around it. So I just let it happen. I figured I'll cover up most of the other areas. I figured if he wants to come in here, he can come in here. And otherwise, he's going to get charged anywhere else he comes in. So that was the way I deployed. And then also, this is my Vanguard. I deployed my Prince here, and I Vanguarded him to here. I deployed him here and Vanguarded him. I figured I'll come around and then march move and put pressure on his flank right from the beginning of the game. So then I got to move. All I really did is push my Blade Dancers up to pressure this flank so that he wouldn't have as much movement with his chariots. I moved my Blade Dancer here to really harass this flank so he wouldn't be able to move as well here either. These guys are kind of safe because of the impassable. I figured that way when he comes up I can just charge him. Excuse me. I didn't really do a whole lot else for deployment. Then I did shooting. Shooting went really well. As you can see, these units over here actually completely shut off this chariot. He was not expecting that. And I wasn't fully expecting that, but I was happy that it happened. So I got rid of 1 chariot immediately, and I put 3 wounds on this chariot. I was really surprised. These chariots have 4 wounds. They're 110 points. They're chariot, and they have 4 wounds. That really bummed me out that they have access to something like that. What I wouldn't give for a chariot with 4 wounds, that only costs 110 points, and resilience 4. The thing is, it's resilience 4. I guess a lot of chariots in the game are actually resilience 5, but I thought most chariots in the game were actually only had 3 wounds, so I was kind of upset that I learned they had 4 wounds. But anyway, so I harnessed those. I don't remember why I shot at them and not these ones, but So shooting went okay, but then I was only able to kill, you can see, I only killed a few models from the big units. I thought I'd be able to shoot these a lot better, but they're resilience 4, and so that was a huge pain. To wound from long range, I only wound on 5s. Anyway, then he did his moves. And look at this. This is turn 1 for him. He's in my face with these 2 big units. This chariot he's trying to hide because it's almost dead. And he's just using it to zone my prince. He knows my prince is trying to kill his mage. His mage is in the woods, which gives them extra to cast. He ambushes here, which I thought he would do, and I'm not too worried about them. He ambushes here, big unit, and here, a big unit. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, 10 drives, that's 15 attacks. I'm just going to obliterate these units. Um, but these units are a bigger pain than I anticipated. And I don't really know what I should have done. So if we go back to deployment, like, maybe I should have just been... I don't know. Because of the way my list is, I don't know how I could have deployed differently. I could have deployed my archers further back, but then I would have to shoot through the woods to get to him. Maybe I shouldn't have put my woods here. Maybe I should have put my woods over here. That probably would have been... I thought about it, and maybe I should have put this wood here so that my blade dancers could then just stay in the woods and threaten this without leaving. That probably would have been a lot smarter in hindsight. But yeah, I wanted to deploy further back. That was my intent. But then I'm shooting through terrain. I think Sylvanov should suffer no penalties for shooting through or into forests. Because otherwise I find it really difficult. A lot of people get cover from forests, and it makes me really annoyed as a Sylvanov player. Alright, and then he does magic. He heals a wound on here. I let him have the throne. He didn't, and then he put, oh, I know, he put stone skin on this block. So originally I wanted to charge it, but because they had stone skin, there was only 6, and I knew the next turn I can't charge them. So that was annoying too. I think I needed like a 12, and I rolled 4 dice to dispel stone skin, and I got like 2 1s and 2 3s or something. Like, in my mind, if I roll 4 dice, I should be able to dispel a 12, but no, I failed. So, anyway, that was the spell I wanted to stop, and he got it off. So it was really bad for me. It was basically a perfect phase for him. And then he did shooting, and he is throwing weapons. This unit turned out like 50 shots, and he killed 6 dryads. Luckily they're fearless, so they don't panic. Then he shot at the blade dancers. He didn't realize blade dancers have hard target 1, so he only killed 2. Because he was hitting on like either 6s or 7s. So yeah. I knew he had throwing weapons. I didn't think throwing weapons would be that effective. So that was a big blow to me. Then it's my turn. I, of course, am charging him in the flank here with these guys. That was my intent. And then these 4 are charging into here because I figure, what else am I going to do with them? They're just going to die from stand and shoot. I can't charge here because he's got stone skin, so that's a no-go. And I forget why I didn't charge here. Oh, he had the 4-up fortitude save. So I thought about charging in here, but he had the 4-up fortitude, and so I knew he was going to save a lot of wounds, and I would just be throwing this ranger unit away if I charge him in. So I decided not to. And instead, I move my blade dancers up. Now they're in the woods and they're going to be steadfast. I figure he'll charge, but I'll be steadfast in the woods, and they can hold at least a turn. I figure, let's see, I move my shapeshifter on the hill. That way I'm out of this chariot's arc, and now this chariot, if he wants to get out of my charge arc, he has to leave the woods. And so I wanted him out of those woods because that was giving him a bonus. I also do the same thing over here. I move these blade dancers up just so he can't charge into my line. So he has to hit them if he wants to charge. I move these guys up so that they threaten the flank or rear of this unit for future turns. And that is about it. Oh, and then I quick reform. I have musicians. I just reform and turn around so I can pump 20 shots into this unit. So then on shooting, I guess in combat, so these 3 units shoot this unit, which has a 4 up fortitude, and I'm shooting through woods, so that doesn't go that well. That's what makes me annoyed. And I'm the one who put the woods there, so I shouldn't have put the woods there. I kill 5 of them. I expect to kill more, but he stays. He doesn't flee off the board, unfortunately. I actually expect to kill all 10, but I guess killing 10 Resilience 4 models with 20 shots isn't realistic, and I have more expectations for my shooting than I should. And then we have combat. And the problem here is, after stand and shoot with the throwing weapons, I only have 2 dryads, so that's not gonna go well. They do okay, but what I'm really bummed about, I charge in the flank, but he kills 2, which means that he's steadfast. If I didn't lose any, then I disrupt him, but the problem with this army is because everything's 10, as soon as I lose one, I no longer break steadfast. So that was a big issue with this army. The emphasis was on damage, and it doesn't break steadfast. So then he does a reform, and now he's got ranks. This is not going well. This goes horribly. What I should have done, and I considered it, I didn't know how well he's fought. I should have reformed these guys and turned them this way so that I could put these rangers. And I should have reformed these guys so that I could have 2 ranger units into them. I could have cleaned up this unit in my backline with 2 ranger units, I think. But I didn't do that. So I should have done that, and I didn't. That was a mistake. Turn 2, mistake. um, yeah. And then shooting doesn't do a whole ton this turn. Then on his turn, he charges them. I actually flee, and maybe I shouldn't have fled, but I fled. Then he charges the other unit, and I stand and shoot, and I kill another 2. So he's only got 3. So I figured that's gonna go okay. These dryads are not in a good position. He charges my blade dancers on both sides, of course. Actually, all 3 of my blade dancer units get charged in the same turn. I kind of wanted this charge. I basically wanted all these charges. I thought I was actually sitting in pretty good position, except for these 2 big ambushing units. These 2 ambushing units, I don't really know what to do about. And then he moves his chariot to chaff my prince. And that's really all he can move. And then he moves this guy out of range, out of my arc. Combat, he kills off the 2 dryad units. Other than that, I have 3 up Aegis saves. I do the 3 up Aegis save dance on all my blade dancers, so they're doing pretty well. Oh, nope. Alright, so then on my following turn, let's see. So starting over here, I lost combat. I don't remember why, but I lost combat. I think because of these guys on the flank, and I broke. Yeah. So they broke. Must have. Where's the other chariot? Oh, okay. I know what happened. So I did a number of wounds to 1 chariot, but then I broke, and he pursued. I broke, and he pursued with 1 chariot that didn't have any wounds on it, and he caught my blade dancer. So that's where they went. Here I lost some, but my blade dancers are still okay. They're steadfast in the woods. Over here, that unit got destroyed. No, they broke. They fled. Those blade dancers fled from combat because I lost combat res. I couldn't really do that many wounds to him because with a 3 up Aegis save, I'm only at strength 3, and he was resilience 4. So that wasn't great. But now in my turn, turn 3, these forest rangers charged the chariot that had chased down my blade dancers. The chariot fled. And actually, first, I did it wrong. I didn't anticipate him fleeing. First, they charge this unit, they flee. So then I redirect into the chariot, and the chariot flees right through the impassable terrain, right through the combat, right through the woods. It, of course, suffers enough dangerous terrain tests, it takes too many wounds, and that chariot's gone. Well, now my rangers are high out to dry. I needed like a 9 or something to catch them, and of course I don't roll a 9. I don't roll 9s on charge phases. Like, no, that doesn't happen. So my rangers are just left out to dry with this chariot primed and ready to charge in. In hindsight, I should have charged this chariot first, and then that way if it fled, I didn't anticipate his chariots fleeing. I guess I should have. Then I should have charged this chariot, because then, either way, I should have wanted to charge chariots because they're really good on the charge, but if they're charged, they're not as good. That's what I should have done, and I didn't. So that was something I learned with rangers over here. Always charge chariots when you have the opportunity to, because you don't want to be charged by them. So learn that. I charged my rangers in. I figured between rangers and blade dancers I might have a chance, but this was the turn I learned they're stubborn. And he told me right before I charged in with all my units that they're stubborn because they have characters, they're bodyguard, but I still did it. Even though I really need to break them, and I can't. I just literally have to throw units in and kill the models. So over here, with these 3, I'm pumping out, I mean, with 2 Forest Ranger units, I'm pumping out 30 Strength 5 attacks. And then Drives, it's 15 Strength 4. So I'm feeling pretty good over here. This combat I know is going to be rough, but I don't see that I have any other options at this point, because these Blade Dancers aren't really going to last another turn, and then they're just going to get into me. Then I move my Archers to shoot into this unit. They're still in combat. The other unit failed to rally, and it fled, and it ran off the board. So now I've lost... Where's my other... I should have 5 shooting units. What happened? That's 2. I think they both fled off the board. Because this one failed to rally, so then it fled. And then this one fled. It caused a panic. So, yeah. People say I need a BSB so situations like that don't happen. I don't know. I like MSU, but MSU doesn't work with these units. Then my moves in shooting. So I pump them full of arrows. Actually, this shows combat too. I'm ahead of myself. These archers actually kill off those beast herds guys, which is good. But these drives are still blocked. It's just a bad position for them. Blade Dancers rally, thankfully. And then, I do lose a fair amount, but he allocates a lot of his attacks to my rangers. And so I actually whittled down a lot of that. Look how many guys that he lost. That was a huge combat. Same with this unit. But now these guys aren't going to last much longer. So now it is... Oh, and the other turn, I forgot. Yeah, so my Force Prince charged the chariot. Of course he kills it. And because it was destroyed within 6 inches, caused a panic test on his mage. His mage fled all the way over here. So now my prince is like, well, now I can't hunt the mage. I decide I'm going to overrun and try to get into this unit to kill the BSB. In hindsight, I probably should have gone over here to kill the general, but I don't know. Then it's his turn, right? He just moves his chariot over here. So my rangers are kind of in a really bad place. His wild herons charge my archers. I can't really do much about that. I'm still jammed over here. Then he does magic. he casts a totem, which I didn't realize what that the totems were bound spells. I looked at their book. I thought a totem just upgraded the champion in the unit permanently, which I thought would be really cool because it seems to me like beast herds should have upgraded champions. Like that was a thing in the Warriors of the Dark Gods. Maybe that was a thing of the past, but the Warriors had upgraded champions. I thought maybe now beast herds have upgraded champions with totems. No, it's a bound spell and it gives the whole unit the totem, which is ridiculous. So I was a little peeved about that. Um, but it's, I guess, my fault for not reading the book closely enough. Um, Otherwise his magic doesn't go that well, which is good for me. Now I'm trying to figure out my charges. My prince goes into them. Maybe I should have turned to try to go this way, but the way I did my overrun, he can't see anything else, so I'd have to waste a turn turning, which I could have done. I figure I really need him in here, and maybe I can do a lot of wounds. Rangers charge them, and they flee again, right? They rallied on the previous turn, he charges them again, then they flee. Now I basically got an impossible charge. You can see they're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 inches away. I need a 12. There's no way I'm going to catch them. I know I'm going to fail. I can't redirect into anything. So my rangers are just opening up a flank for this chariot. So I guess I shouldn't have charged him, but I didn't know what else to do. Yeah. And that's about... And then my blade dancers over here are now able to charge into them because I moved my dryads down. I figure I can wipe out this unit and his general, secure this, secure target because I've got the dryads, 2 ranger units. These guys can move up if I need to secure it. I'm doing pretty well, I feel like. Well, Prince goes into there. That's my failed charge. Archers are moving over to shoot at this unit because now they're out of combat. They killed my whole archers and overran and killed my rangers. So they're out of combat, so I figure I'm just going to pump this unit full of arrows. Where'd my other... Oh, that's right. It got killed by them. So now I'm down to 20 archers. I don't even have 20 archers. I have 19 archers left when I started with 50. Shooting it, I shoot them. You can see I kill 2 because they're in cover. I cause a panic test, but he doesn't panic. And then combat. So let me think, see here. I didn't really kill that many. Looks like I only killed, he had 3, he had 8 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. I think he issued a duel with his champion. And so I killed his champion with my prince, but of course then it doesn't do anything. And then when he did a reform, I kept forgetting to move my prince over into base contact with his BSB. The other thing I kept forgetting this game was because I didn't have a magic phase, I kept forgetting to use my magic phase to dispel his Oaken Throne. So at the beginning of each of his magic phase, he would make me either use a die to get rid of his Oaken Throne and have 1 less die in his phase, or not. And to me, that was kind of sketchy. Like, just, I use my dice in my magic phase to get rid of it. I'm not using my dice for anything else. Just get rid of your Oaken Throne. But he didn't. I didn't bring it up to him because I don't want to be like that in games all the time. I know I'm kind of a jerk sometimes when I play, and that's just the way it is. But to me, that was kind of a jerk move. Like, just remove your Oaken Throne. I'm dispelling it. I just can't remember. So that's one of the things in the games I'm forced to remember, to remove his Oaken Throne. So anyway, I do kill every model in the unit, and because I kill every model in the unit, his general is no longer steadfast. I pursued with the Dryads. I was trying to restrain the Rangers and they failed. I restrained the Blade Dancers. I should have pursued with every single unit because I didn't catch him. That was the time to kill his general. And now I realize in the future that when I'm in that situation and a character's fleeing, pursue with every unit to make sure you kill that character. Because a character, especially when it's the general, actually I'm not sure, I think he's the general. That's a whole lot of points regardless. And now, like, I can't handle him. Like, my prince can, but my prince is over here. I can't handle him. Like, this general could kill this unit, could kill this unit, could kill this unit. Like, whatever. I can't really handle him now that he's not fleeing. So, and I can't break him from combat again because he'll just do too many wounds to me. I'm the one who's going to break from combat if I face him again. So I should have just pursued with everything. I probably still would not have caught him. I think he rolled a 10. He rolled really high, but you never know. And I forgot to move my prince over, so I just attacked the unit. But then he has druidism and he just keeps healing him back. So I was really annoyed by that. He charges these two in here. I know they're just gonna die. Um, he rallies his general, so his general didn't keep fleeing. And that's about that. My intent with the prince, I thought I would just blow through this unit and then I could get into his mage, but because this unit is steadfast, because they're stubborn, because there's models, and he kept healing back all the models. Like, I have 6 attacks, 6 strength, 7 attacks. I'm gonna kill a lot of models, but then he just heals them back the next phase. So, yeah, I'm upset about that. Then it's my move, turn 5. I decide I'm just gonna try to get out of his arc. Well, the thing I keep forgetting to do is that just because the list is 10s, and I deploy them in, you know, 5 wide, 2 deep, I leave them 5 wide, 2 deep the whole game. And I didn't actually get the Rangers out of the arc of the general. He could see like these last two. What I should have done was reformed into like 10 wide or something and then moved, and then I would have gotten out of his arc. And then he couldn't have charged me. And then 10 wide, I actually could have charged a lot of stuff. I didn't do that. So that was another mistake I made. So you can see all the mistakes I've made this game. That's a typical game for me. Those are all the mistakes that I make in a typical game, and that's why I score so poorly. Um, and that's about it. He said he thought my blade dancers could have a chance to kill a general, and I was like, no. His general has a high armor save, and he's resilience 5. My blade dancers aren't gonna kill him. That would be throwing away another 300 points, and I'm not gonna do that. So, uh, then in my phase, I shoot. I actually get this unit down. It's only got one model left. I was really disappointed. I really wanted to kill it off and get those points. That's what it is. Then, of course, he kills my rangers. Um, Combat, I continue to kill that unit down, but it still has models, so it still is steadfast, and he's not running away from my prince, which is making me really annoyed. And then it's his turn. He actually kills my prince. So that was my attacks, and then he killed it. I forget how, but yeah, I had taken 2 wounds. Well, I took 2 wounds that phase. Then on turn 5, okay, so this is how turn 5 ended, which is actually how the game ended. Oops, I left an arrow in there. He of course charges his general into my rangers, kills 4, and he kills my prince because I only have 1 wound left. And then he heals them back, and that's what he does. He heals them back, and so then he has all these more extra attacks on my prince again. And this is actually how we ended it because he had to go. He had only left like 4 or 5 hours to play this game, and we didn't finish. We just played through turn 5. He actually wanted to, like on turn 4, he's like, I have 20 minutes left, and I'm like, well, I'm thinking to myself, well, don't, you know, if you don't have 7 hours, don't play a game. Like, it takes 7 hours to play a game sometimes. It took 7 hours to play my last game, so that doesn't faze me. To me, that's the fun. I like sitting for 7 hours and playing a game, but some people, I guess, don't. So anyway, we just ended on turn 5. I told him I was fine with it. I figured I couldn't really get any more points. Yeah, he moved that one guy back here, so I couldn't shoot him and get those points. I mean, I could have shot stuff, but realistically, I was actually gonna just lose points. He's gonna kill my rangers probably. He already. There's no way I could stop him from scoring here. If we ended on turn 5, I had units here, so I scored this. This wasn't really gonna change, so there might have been a few points differences, but overall, it's basically we could both see it was gonna be the same. Uh, Unless I spiked and killed his general, which I just didn't think I would do. So anyway, that was the game. He won 6-14 because he got the objective. Otherwise, it was a lot closer. It was, or was it? No, no, no. We tied objective. It was 6 to 14 on points, and then we tied the objective. So I at least tied objective. I haven't really been able to do well with objectives, so tying objective is better than losing objective. So I guess you could say I'm getting better in that regard, or at least on this map, this list was able to deny the objective, even if I couldn't win the objective. Um, so then let's look at the next page. So this is the, oops, I left that up. I thought I deleted that. Anyway, that's from a previous slideshow. This is, the tournament results. So we played 5 games, and I scored 16 points total in 5 games, which is atrocious. Um, and I got 6 of those points in this one game. So I scored 10 points in 4 games. I scored 4, 4, 1, 1, and then 6 were my points for this tournament. I lost everything. Kenyon, my opponent, didn't put our battle points in, and I accidentally deleted them when I was putting together the slideshow. So I did score more points in this. I don't know how many points I killed him in this battle, like 900 or something. So I actually had 4,500 points scored. Didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, which is probably why he didn't put it in. But to me, I take a lot of pride in that. I did only score 16 points, and I had all losses, but I had no 20-0s. I scored at least 1 point in every game, which I also have a lot of pride in because a lot of people, if you look through the results, didn't do that. There were several people who, though they had higher scores than me, they also had zeros in 1 or 2 games. So I always play to get at least 1 point. Maybe that's my problem, but I'm going to stick with it for now. So yeah, out of 70 people, I came in dead last. Played this guy, played Chris, played Major Sebi. The other guys were higher up that I played. So those were the results. And because I played dead last, guess what? I got the Wooden Spoon Award. There we go. So that's my first Wooden Spoon Award. I didn't expect to win anything. I don't know how I should feel about this award, but there it is. That's a sign, testament of my ninth age prowess or lack thereof. Looks kind of nice. I haven't really decided what to do with it, if I should print it out and frame it or what. So yeah, so my list, let's go look at my list. I talked about this in my other video a little bit, but now that I'm officially done with the tournament, the list doesn't work. It has, as you saw in my deployment, it realistically, it actually has too many units. It might be possible to play with this many units in 9th age, but if you do, you need units that have different speeds. And especially you need flyers. This unit list just had too many infantry units. I literally just have to stretch them out from board edge to board edge, which other people don't play. They play like with half the board. And so then they just take their whole army and fight half my army, and then they take their whole army and fight my other half of the army. And I'm never able to leverage all of the army all at once. It's also really a big pain to fit, like you can fit 50 archers in there, but then to fit all the other melee units around them, it either blocks the melee units from moving or the melee units block the archer units. So that's a pain, even though I have volley fire, which helps. I like the shapeshifter, but I think by himself, he doesn't work. He needs. I told this to someone on the 9th Age forums who were other Sylvaneth players were looking at shapeshifter builds. I said, this is a good shapeshifter build, and I would play with it again, but not by itself. If you're going to use a shapeshifter, you should have other fighty characters as well. I think a shapeshifter build that's built like this should, because it has Vanguard and fast movement, that you should have other Vanguard and fast movement pieces to your army, and your list should be built around that. That not half the army, but you should have, like, I've been building new lists, and I have my new favorite thing, even though I haven't really played with it in an actual battle, is a big unit of Force Rangers with Vanguard and Movement Banner. And so that way you could have a big unit of Rangers Vanguard along with the Prince, and now suddenly you have 2 dangerous things threatening an enemy. And ideally you would also have like Kestrels and maybe something else. So you can actually, if you have a big unit of Kestrels, this Force Prince Shapeshifter, and a big unit of Rangers all Vanguard onto someone's flank, now suddenly you're putting a lot of pressure on someone's flank with those 3 units. But this guy alone doesn't put enough pressure on. And the problem is, everyone does that dirty trick where if you charge into the unit with just the Prince, they just challenge him out, and then the unit doesn't break. Like in my mind, he should be able to charge in and break a unit, but he doesn't. So you have to charge him in with other units. Um, then maybe, and pretty much every game I vanguarded him and had him moving out and about, and maybe I should have just kept him back and left him to just defend, but I didn't. I used him kind of aggressively in every game. I just wanted to see how that was. So, yeah, this many infantry units doesn't work. Um, Unfortunately. I wish it did, but it doesn't. My thought process when making this was also that if I faced a shooty list, I would just have so many targets going towards the enemy. Like if I face an Empire or Dwarf gun line, yeah, he's gonna kill a couple units, but I'm gonna hit him, and he's not gonna be able to use his shooty. So, and the other thing is, every unit except for my archers, and my archers aren't gonna advance. They're just gonna sit back and shoot. So if I go against a gun line, I have 50 arrows shooting at his gun line. Meanwhile, I have 11 infantry units marching towards his gun line, and a prince that's just going to get in there and tear it up with hard target. I didn't face a gun line in this tournament. I kind of did on game one. I faced an Inferno Dwarves, but it wasn't that shooty of an Inferno Dwarves. It was more of a combat Inferno Dwarves. And so I didn't really get to test out this theory. Like maybe this list would be really good in a team tournament and then just try to match it up against gun lines. It's kind of made for that. But even against gun lines, everything's movement 5 and, March 10. And so even against gun lines, you only have March 10. It's going to take you till turn 3 to charge in, if you're lucky. But yeah. So this list, I probably will never play again. And I doubt anyone else has ever played it or will ever play it. If you do, and you've seen this video, leave me a note and let me know how you did. I've moved on to other lists, and we are just now. I'm in 2 other tournaments right now. So we just finished this one. I'm in 2 other ones. The other one I'm in, which I've posted one video for already, is the UB Crippling Rides tournament, where I'm actually playing KOE for the first time. So check out what I'm doing with KOE. It's different than what other players are doing with KOE. I'm curious to see if it works. And then we just started another tournament put on by a lot of US players. It's a team tournament, and it's called Social Distancing 2020. So I'm on a team with 3 other guys. It's teams of 4. I don't know the other guys. I think they're from Europe, and none of us knew each other. None of us had teams, so the organizers just made teams for single people who couldn't get on other teams. Because a lot of the teams are like teams of friends together. And the way the team tournament works is it's still singles. I asked my brother and my friends who I play with if they wanted. I asked my brother. I was considering asking him, but when I told him it was singles, he had no interest. Like my brother and our friends might play in a team tournament if it literally was team battles. That would be fun. Like if it's 4v, he thought 4v4 would be a little excessive, but we often like to do 3v3. So if it was teams of 3 and it was 3v3, maybe they would have joined. Um, but other people, I guess, don't want to do that. I don't know if there are any team tournaments in the world that are 3v3, where you literally have 4,500 armies against another. That would be, to me, that's awesome. And to me and my friends and my brother, that those are the battles that we want to play. We want to play big, huge, big battles like that. So, anyway, that wraps up this report. Um, I pointed out several mistakes from my battle. If you have other mistakes you saw or other better deployment moves with this army list, I don't know how I should have deployed differently. My thought process was he's going to ambush me and I'm just going to try to get in and charge him when he ambushes me, and I thought I'd be able to do it. I probably like, what would you do if you had this many units? I thought about deploying all my units around the just right on the board edge, so he literally couldn't come in at all. Because I almost have enough units to do it. I don't know. What do you think about that? Should I have just literally laid them all against there, so I could have just prevented him from coming in behind me, and he had to come in like this? Or should I just pushed forward so his ambushes wouldn't have been as effective? Um, I literally don't know. I've never played against an ambushing beast herds list like this. So that was my first thought to do what I did. I don't think it worked because I didn't have enough units. Like initially they were supposed to charge in tandem, but I needed the blade dancers to stop his big block from coming in here. So it's hard to know. Um, but that's it. So if you see anything else from my battle that you want to point out and educate me, I'd be very appreciative. I try to take constructive criticism. Sometimes I get upset, but I know that you mean it in good taste. So let me know. I'm trying to learn and grow. Obviously, I have a lot to learn, and I hope the rest of your battles go better than this one. Thanks. Have a great day.